All right, so this is what standard form looks like. So I know this is a quadratic function because we have x squared. So anytime I have x squared, that's going to be a quadratic function. Do you guys remember what shape we get from a quadratic function? Sorry? Yeah, it looks like a U. And it has a fancy name, a fancy math name. What's that U called? Sorry? Good, perfect. Good, you remembered it. Very good. So we get out a parabola anytime you're graphing a quadratic function. Perfect. Okay. So we are going to follow two steps. So the first thing is we need to find the vertex. And then we need to find 2 points, one on either side of our vertex, and graph those 2 points. So we need to plot 3 points today. Okay. So to find the vertex, our vertex is x comma y. To find the x part of our vertex, we're going to use this equation. We're going to use negative b over 2a. So when we're looking at our standard form, our quadratic function, the number in front of each of these is either a, b, or c. So the number in front of x squared is a, the number in front of x is b, oh, and the number in front of the number at the end is just c, just the number. Okay. So we will take b, whatever b is, we'll do negative b divided by 2 times whatever is in front of x squared. Okay. So that's how we find the x coordinate. Then we're going to stick in our x coordinate. After we simplify, we'll plug in our x coordinate and find y. So this is kind of like what we did last time when we were looking for the vertex. Okay, then we have our axis of symmetry. So maybe let me draw that up here. When we're drawing our quadratic function, well, let's see. I want to turn on the PowerPoint tools. When we're drawing our quadratic function, we have something like this. So maybe our parabola is over here. Maybe we found our vertex. Our vertex always lies on this axis of symmetry. So if we go 1 point away, we'll find a point on our parabola. And this should be a certain distance from our axis of symmetry. So if we folded our parabola over, we would have a point that's the same distance away. So these would be the same distance, and we could put our point here. So basically, we only need to find one other point on our parabola and then rotate it around our axis of symmetry, or reflect it across that. Okay, questions so far? Okay, so that's our process. I think that's our last slide. All right, we will go ahead and do some practice problems. This is the wrong class. Just move that. So let me hand out our assignment. This looks longer, but it just has 12 problems, so not too long. No, I can check. I can check. I want to make sure. Okay, here we go. Let's just practice on number 1 up here. We'll just get it a little bit closer. A little bit dark. Let's make it a little bit. How is that in the back? Can you see it okay? Okay, all right. Let's turn that on. There we go. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is find the vertex. So we need to find the x coordinate of the vertex. So we're going to use this equation, negative b over 2 times a. So sometimes it helps me to write down which one's a, b, and c. So here, what would a be? Perfect. So negative 2 is the number in front of x squared. That's a. This is b, and this is c. So b is negative 4, and c is negative 6. So all we have to do is we have to do negative b. So we've got negative, and then b is already negative 4. So negative 4 divided by 2 times a, and a is negative 2. And then we just have to simplify. So negative gives me a positive 4 on the top. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. So on the bottom I have a negative 4. And then 4 divided by negative 4 gives us negative 1. Okay. Questions on that? Okay, so that's our x coordinate of our vertex. So if I wanted to put that over here, I could put negative 1 is our x-axis or our x point of our vertex. Coordinate, x coordinate, there we go. All right, so the next thing that we need to do, this is x. We want to find when x is negative 1, what is y? So we can use our function to find that. So what is y when we have, I'm just recording everything and changing x to negative 1. So negative 2 times negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 minus 6. Okay, questions where I got that? Does that make sense? All right, then I'm just going to simplify. So let's simplify here. So I've got y is what's, so I've got negative 2. What's negative 1 squared? Negative 1 times negative 1. So it will be positive 1. So negative times negative gives us a positive. So this is just 1. And then we've got negative 4 times negative 1. So 2 negatives. So what's negative 4 times negative 1? Good. Positive 4. And then this is just hanging out. Negative 6. All right, let's simplify a little bit more. So what's negative 2 times negative 1? 2. And it's going to be negative 2 because one's positive, one's negative. And then we've got plus 4 minus 6. So now let's combine some of these. So negative 2 plus 4, what's that? Good, that's going to be 2. And then we've got, we're going to subtract 6. 2 minus 6, 4. Good, and that, what kind of 4? Negative 4, good. So when x is negative 1, y is negative 4. So that we've just found our vertex. So negative 1, negative 4. Questions on that? So we just found our vertex. That's step 1. Yep, Luce, you can go ahead and go down. All right, the next step is we have to find a point, another point on our parabola. So we just pick a number, pick an x. So what I like to do is I like to pick a number that it makes my life easier. So I know my axis of symmetry goes through my vertex. So one box away from negative 1 would be 0. So if I can ever pick 0 as x, that's going to make my life a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put x is 0, and I need to find y. Okay. So I'm going to put in, anytime I see x up here, I'm going to put 0. So what is y when we have negative 2 times 0 squared minus 4 times 0 minus 6? So I picked 0 because it's not on my vertex, it's not part of my vertex, and it'll make everything cancel out. So 2 times 0 squared, that's 0. Negative 4 times 0 is 0 minus 6. So when x is 0, y is negative 6. So I just found another point. My next point is 0, negative 6. Questions on where that came from? So I'm just going to take this point. This is a second point. This is not my vertex. This is just another point on the parabola. So I have 0 and then negative 6. Okay, and this is how many away from the axis of symmetry? 1. Good. So if I go to the axis of symmetry, I'm going to go through the axis of symmetry and go over 1. And this symmetrical point should be on the other side of my axis of symmetry. Does that make sense? Because it just folds across that axis of symmetry. All right, now we've got our 3 points and we can draw in our parabola. So this one opens down. It's a negative. There's a negative in the front, that makes sense. And that's all we have to do. Okay, so take a minute on there. If you're done with this one, go ahead and look through and see if there's another one you want to do together. Maybe you see that you want to do 12. 12? Okay, let's flip over to 12. Here we go. Very last one. So we'll do the first one and the last one. We might do another one too. All right, so what's the first thing that we need to do? Okay, so we're going to find the line of symmetry. We're going to find what is x. Good. So what is x? And x is negative b over 2 times a. This is our x coordinate of our vertex. Okay, how about on this problem? We need b. What's b? 16. Perfect. So b is 16, and this formula says negative b over 2 times a. What is a here? 4. Good, 4. So let's simplify this a little bit. So negative 16 on the top. Divided by, what's 2 times 4? Okay, negative 16 divided by 8. What's that? Okay, negative 2, good. So the x coordinate of our vertex is negative 2, and that's also our axis of symmetry. So we could draw a line through negative 2. Perfect. All right, now we need to figure out what is the y coordinate of x. So when y, what is y when x is negative 2? So 4 times negative 2 squared plus 16 times negative 2. I'm running out of space. I'll fit in that 15 on the edge, plus 15. So now we just have to simplify it. When x is negative 2, what is y? So let's simplify. So I've got this 4. Then what's negative 2 times negative 2? Negative 2 times itself. So it's going to be positive 4 because there's 2 negatives. And then we've got plus, what, do you guys know what 16 times negative 2 is? Oh, we did. Negative 32, okay, that sounds right. Negative, let me put that, now it's a negative. Negative 32, and then we add 15. Okay. You can put this on your calculator if you want. What's 4 times 4? 16. Okay, so we've got 16 minus 32 plus 15. I'm going to use my calculator. Do you guys know what it is before I do it on my calculator? I heard something. What? Here we go. So 16 minus 32 plus 15, that's negative 1. So our vertex will be at -2, -1. So down here. Okay, then we just need to pick one more point. Pick, how do you spell pick? Pick an x. So again, if I pick 0, that'll make our lives a lot easier. And we can only pick 0 if it's not already, the vertex is already, if the vertex is x equals 0, that will just give us the vertex. So if I move away from the vertex and I can pick 0, that's always a good one. So I'm going to pick x is 0, and I need to find what is y when x is 0. So I'm going to go back to my formula for y. Y is 4 times 0 squared plus 16 times 0 plus 15. Can you guys see how that makes our lives easier if we pick 0? Okay. All right, now we're going to simplify. Find y. So 0 times anything is 0, plus 0 times 16, that's still 0, plus 15. So when I pick x is 0, then y is 15. So my second point, that's not my vertex, is 0, 15. Oops, sorry. So then I go up to my graph, and I go 0, up to 15, that's up here. And then how do I find my last point from this graph? So this is my point here. How can I use my axis to plot the last point that I need? Good, fold it over. So if I folded this right on my axis of symmetry, then this is 2 away. So the other side would be this point right here. So I'm just using the axis of symmetry to mirror my picked point. Okay, and then that's our problem. Okay, questions on that? You guys see where everything came from?
We do one more.
Yes, let's do one more. Do you want to pick one, Taki?
7.
7. Okay, let's do 7 together. Okay, here we go. So what's our first step? Yep, find the x-axis of our vertex. So we're looking for our vertex. We know that the x-coordinate is negative b over 2 times a. So this formula, I would probably write that down somewhere. That's going to be really useful for today. All right, so help me out. What is negative b?
2x.
So we'll put negative, so b is 8, so we'll do negative 8. And now we'll do 2 times, what's a? So 2 times negative 2. And then we'll simplify. So we've got negative 8 on the top, and then what's 2 times negative 2? Negative 4. And then what's negative 8 divided by negative 4? Good. So the positive, or the negatives cancel out, and we get 2. Okay, so the x-coordinate of our vertex is 2. That also tells us our axis of symmetry is that x is 2. Let's draw like this. So we have our x and our y. So we've just found x. Now we need to find y. So we're going to take our formula up here. This is how to find y. Y is negative 2 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2 minus 9. Oops, I don't know why I put a parenthesis, sorry. That's a 9. Okay, now we just simplify. So y is, we've got negative 2. What's 2 times 2? 2 squared.
4.
Good, so negative 2 times 4. Plus what's 8 times 2?
16.
Okay, 16, and then we've got minus 9. So now let's go back and simplify again. What's negative 2 times 4?
Negative 8.
Good, negative 8. Plus 16 minus 9. So we could do that. I bet you could do that in your head. I'm just going to plug it in now. Negative 8 plus 16 minus 9 gives us negative 1. Hi.
These are my words. Quick question.
Yeah.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good. See ya. So, just a second.
So is it okay if I look? Yeah, so I don't know how long I'm gonna wait. You probably need to wait for a while. You can try it. What you can do is and then Mark can do it. But yeah, this is fine. I have everything measured in that. I just need to get some water.
Okay. So we found when x is 2, y is -1. Okay, what's the next thing that we need to do? So we found our vertex. Negative, or we got 2, -1. There's our vertex. What do we do next?
So you guys can use this piece from, you know how it is page 5.
Can we pick a third number?
Here we pick another number. Pick another x. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Pick an x. Okay, will 0 work here? We can pick 0 because it's not part of our vertex. So yeah, we can pick 0. Let's pick x is 0 and we'll find what is y. So how do we do that? How do we find our y? Perfect. Put all the x's as 0. So we have this equation. Y is -2 times 0 squared plus 8 times 0 minus 9. So this is nice because we got 0 plus 0 minus 9. So when x is 0, y is -9. So our next point is 0, -9. So that's not our vertex, but that's a good point to plot. So 0, -9. Okay, and then we need to plot one more point. How are we going to do that? Good. Flip it across the x axis of symmetry. So this one is 1, 2 away from the axis of symmetry. So we just go across on our line, 1, 2. Okay, and then we just draw on our parabola. Does it make sense that it's pointing down?
Yes.
Yep. Good. This is a negative number, so that makes sense. Dave, you guys feel like you can do the rest of them? Dave, go ahead and try that. I'll wander around. I will also work on a key and post it on Canvas. We have about 40 minutes. So I think that's 20 times. You've got 9 problems left to do. I think you can do that in 40 minutes. Just for this stuff.